If you're just over your first trimester and the idea of pushing a human being through your vagina is suddenly getting real, I wanted to share with you the 5 very common mistakes that people do in early pregnancy and can lead to more pelvic floor damage like tearing. My name is Sophie and I'm a pelvic health physiotherapist specialized in maternity care. And I've helped hundreds of active moms have an injury-free birth and return to their active lifestyle postpartum in a confident way without pelvic floor issues like urine leakage, prolapse, and so on. So if this resonates with your goals, I would be happy to chat with you about your situation and see how I could possibly support you on this journey ahead of you. There is a link below to book a free call with me if you'd like to chat. Let's get started with the 5 early pregnancy mistakes that lead to tearing. The first mistake is pelvic floor tightness ignorance. A lot of pregnant mamas do not know that they have a tight pelvic floor. And like any muscle in your body, your pelvic floor can be tight too, right? The pelvic floor muscles are these red muscles here around the vagina. And so what happens when you're trying to push a baby against these tight muscles, right? It rips. So that's why we want to identify pelvic floor tightness as early as possible in pregnancy, because it can take several months to fix this problem depending on the severity. So the more you wait, the less time you have to fix it before you give birth, and then the more likely you are to have tearing. I cannot count how many times I've heard from the clients in our program, if I had not been in this program learning about pelvic floor tightness, I would have never known that I had it and I would have never addressed it. So that's something you should definitely look into, and I'll link my playlist about pelvic floor tightness in the description below if you want to dive deeper into that topic after watching this video. Mistake number 2 is starting pelvic floor prevention work too late. Can I be honest with you here? When people reach out to us in their 3rd trimester to join our prevention program, we don't actually accept them. You know why? Because it's just too late to get started at that point. There's just not enough time. It's like if someone had never run before and wanted to sign up for a marathon happening in like 3 weeks. That's just not enough time to train for a marathon, right? Could you still run it? Absolutely. Can we guarantee that you will finish the race with a smile and no injury? Absolutely not. So the same applies when you train your pelvic floor for birth. You have to start right from early pregnancy. Not in 2 weeks, not in 2 months, right now. The earlier the better if you want to improve your chances of success, and that's why the people who sign up for our program do so in their 2nd trimester. Mistake number 3 is doing the wrong pelvic floor exercises. For example, some people will start doing tons of Kegels when they get pregnant because they don't really know what else to do, or they might have read something online suggesting that. And I don't blame them, right? The internet can be such a confusing and overwhelming source of information when you get pregnant, and trying to find out what's right or wrong is really hard. But just coming back to Kegel exercises, as pelvic floor physios, when we think of the term Kegel exercises, we specifically think of strengthening exercises. That means you are holding the contraction for a longer period of time, like 10 seconds or more, and you repeat it several times, like 10 to 12 reps, and often you will do that for a few sets a day. So that's what we specifically think about when we think of Kegel exercises. So that means it comes with a very specific set of parameters. And these parameters may be appropriate for some pregnant mamas, but for some others who may have a tight pelvic floor, for example, like we just discussed, this type of exercise could actually increase the tightness of their pelvic floor, therefore might increase the risk of tearing. So we're kind of working against our goal here. Do you follow me? That's why it's super challenging for me to recommend pelvic floor exercises on YouTube for everybody, because it's rarely a one size fits all, because everyone's pelvic floor has different particularities which could dictate different exercises. And that's why we offer customized support to every single mom in our online program, because we know that everybody is different and therefore needs different things. If you need customized support to prepare your pelvic floor for birth and postpartum, again, happy to chat with you and discuss your needs. That's what I do, and I would love to support you. You can book a free call with me in the description below. Mistake number 4 is doing your pelvic floor exercises the wrong way. So that's a different problem here. You could do the right exercises with the right parameters, but you do them wrong. So how effective is that, right? Your whole pregnancy, you're doing pelvic floor exercises in the hope that it will reduce your risk of tearing and improve your recovery outcomes, but it turns out you did the wrong thing all along. Lots of pregnant mamas have never heard about the pelvic floor before getting pregnant. And the first time they get in touch with this area of their body is during pregnancy, when the pelvic floor is already challenged from the hormones, the postural changes, the weight of the baby pressing on the pelvic floor, etc. So pregnancy does not offer the ideal conditions to connect with the pelvic floor muscles for the first time right off the bat. How many times in my clinic I've heard pregnant mamas say, I'm doing pelvic floor exercises, but I have no idea if I do them right. So if that's you, I'll link my playlist Pelvic Floor 101 for Moms down below, which will demystify the basics. And mistake number 5 is not getting professional guidance. A very common mistake is to think, women have been giving birth for decades without pelvic floor support. I can do this on my own. All right, fair enough. But these women you're referring to, have you asked them how their down there area was doing for the rest of their lives? Sure, they had their baby. Sure, everybody survived thanks to science and C-sections. But at what cost on their quality of life, I'm asking you? Because I've been practicing for over 10 years as a pelvic floor physio with mothers, and I can tell you that a lot of moms out there are still carrying a pair of panties in their purse every time they go out because they are fearful of leaking urine. I can tell you that some of them can't dance when there's a party because they would empty their bladder on the dance floor. Some of them needed surgery because their bladder had actually fallen down in their vagina after the birth of their children. That's called a prolapse, if you're wondering. We don't talk about these things, but yes, women have been giving birth for decades without pelvic health support because unfortunately, it was not an expertise that was available to them at the time, but they are still dealing with the consequences, and it's a huge impact on their quality of life, believe me on that. I'm not here to tell you that you won't be able to give birth vaginally if you don't work with a pelvic floor physio in pregnancy. I'm here to say your quality of life might take a toll if you don't. So, do you want to take that chance? So if you're all about prevention and your goal is to not only have a positive, healthy birth experience, but also not compromise your quality of life and your active lifestyle after birth, I would love to chat with you and see how I can support you. You can book a free call with me in the description below. Otherwise, make sure you give this video a like to support my channel so more moms-to-be have access to pelvic health education, and thanks for watching.